Hey quad folks, today I have a little scavenger hunt that I'm looking for a socket for the RCA's CAVEC module to add it on to the TR-4 high band. And so I have my little box of connectors and went through my box, and what do you know, I had one. And if you're not familiar with the way RCA did things, their module connections, they're keyed. See, here we have a key there, on there, on there, and one there. And this corresponds, to the keyways on the back of the module. So see, when it's inserted into the machine, it lines up, and that prevents from mistakenly putting the wrong module into the wrong cubicle, the little slot that the module slides in. It'll slide in, but it won't plug up, because of these keyed parts on the connector and on the module. And like I said, they're all different. Every module has its own little combination of keyways, and so there's only one place that any module will plug in to the machine, and that's in its own slot. So anyway, so I found the module that we can use to add this to the back plane in the TR-4, which we're adding this on. It didn't come with a CAVEC, so we have our hole there in the front, and we'll add this this connector to this empty slot here in the back of the TR-4, and then proceed to hook up some wires, which is always a lot of fun. What I'll have to do next, this is a connector from a TR-70B or a C, and they did things a little differently than the TR-4s and TR-22s did. They had the module connector mounted on a little spring frame here. So when you plug the module in, this spring is pushing back against the connector, keeping it tightly seated, so that spring tension. The 4s and the 3s and the 22s didn't have these springs. they just had a captive screw at the top and bottom, and you know, and there's not much wiggle room there. Is it any better? Any worse? I don't know. You know, the old way, when it worked just fine. You know, so I don't know if there was any better or worse. Although the spring and having more flexibility here is a little more forgiving when you're plugging these things up as far as the seating, you know, of the connectors. So I guess maybe this way was a little bit better than the earlier way. Anyway, getting our connector bolted into the machine is by a couple of 440 screws we have here, 440, and on these early ribbon connectors, before they use the spring, they have a little ferrule that's you know, movable, and so you put the just like that, and then that bolts it to the frame, and it's allows this socket to be movable, you know, in order to position center itself when the module is plugged in. And that's all there is. So we have 1 to 16, and then 17 to 32 from the top down. And looks good, looks right. Now the fun begins with all the wiring changes. To do the actual installation and the wiring changes and the circuit modifications, we go to the book. And so we're dealing with a TR-4 in our case now. And so we go and we find installation for TR-4. And this is where the fun really begins. Pages and pages of modifications and wiring changes. A whole lot of fun.